Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from the Frontier, and thanks as always for stopping by. I'm looking forward enormously to this Saturday. We're hosting His Excellency John Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana, 2012 to 2017. I've been reading his book, My First Coup d'etat. He was in fact he's a born free African, which is interesting. And when I was reading through his book, I got that sense, of that sense of freeness being born after the colonial enterprise. Simon Allison has written about Mahama when he was reviewing his book. Books are a window into the soul, and they surely are. And in this case, this one is. If you still want to know what Mind Speak is all about, there's a link there as well. You're most welcome. It's on Saturday. It's at the Norfolk Fairmont Hotel. I'm a bit concerned about space, so it's first come, first served, I'm afraid. We start sharp at 10. Macro Thoughts, a conversation with CGTN's Ramanyang. It's a very interesting one. Rama's very engaging as an interviewer, knows his stuff. We spoke about the Naira, about crude oil, Africa, Egypt, Nigeria, Kenya. Do take a look, that's under Macro Thoughts. Home Thoughts. Went back to this, I was kind of imagining Donald Trump like this great sort of shooting star. From the shooting star, I went to that quotation by Thomas Pynchon. But it is a curve each of them feels unmistakably. It is the parabola. They must have guessed once or twice, guessed and refused to believe that everything always collectively had been moving toward that purified shape latent in the sky, that shape of no surprise, no second chance, no return, yet they do move forever under it, reserved for its own black and white bad news, certainly, as if it were the rainbow, and they its children. Roberto Bolaño, I like this poem. I dreamt that Earth was finished, and the only human being to contemplate the end was Franz Kafka. In heaven, the Titans were fighting to the death from a wrought iron seat in Central Park. Kafka was watching the world burn. I dreamt I was dreaming, and I came home too late. In my bed I found Mario de Sacanero sleeping with my first love. When I uncovered them, I found they were dead and biting my lips till they bled. I went back to the streets. I dreamt that Anacreon was building his castle on the top of a barren hill and then destroying it. I dreamt I was a really old Latin American detective. I lived in New York and Mark Twain was hiring me to save the life of someone without a face. It's going to be a damn tough case, Mr. Twain, I told him. I dreamt I was falling in love with Alice Sheldon. She didn't want me, so I tried getting myself killed on 3 continents. Years passed by. Finally, when I was really old, she appeared on the other end of the promenade in New York, and with signals like the ones they use on aircraft carriers to help the pilots land. She told me she'd always loved me. Pretty powerful, I thought. If we isolate the stray thought, the passing thought, he said, the thought whose origin is unfathomable, then we begin to understand that we are routinely deranged, everyday crazy, Don DeLillo, Angel Esmeralda. This spot was so close to perfect, we would not even want to tell ourselves how lucky we were, having been delivered to it. The best of new places had to be protected from our own cries of delight. We would hold words for weeks or months for the soft evening when a stray remark would set us to recollecting. I guess we believed together that the wrong voice can obliterate a landscape. And final quote from that series of short stories by Deloitte, all human existence is a trick of light. Treat your loved one to a spectacular view in authentic South Asian cuisine at the Ritz-Carlton in Abu Dhabi. In the background you can see that extraordinary mosque they built, and I've actually visited. Political reflections: Somalia greet new dawn as US dual national wins the presidency. Celebrations erupted on the streets of Somalia after parliamentarians elected a new president, with crowds chanting songs and firing automatic weapons into the night sky. The election of Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed, a 55-year-old former prime minister and US national, with a reputation for independence and competence, has raised the hopes of millions of people in the poor and violent East African state. Let's hope a trend change is really at hand. And who knows, it can be, I think. He seems a very popular fellow, this Farmajo, who won the Somali presidential vote. Estimated 500,000 people packed into downtown Mogadishu. That's according to Somalia Live Update. Howard French, who I interviewed a while ago and has written this really great book about China and Africa, alerted me to this article by Sidney Blumenthal in the London Review of Books. A short history of the Trump family. It's incredibly long, and I know we've been obsessing on Trump since he won, but goodness, it's been extraordinary, hasn't it? But this article is probably the most extraordinary I've read. Now, Blumenthal obviously was an advisor for Hillary Clinton, but you know, the flavour and nuance he's got in this article is just mind-boggling. The most enduring blight left behind by Donald Trump long after he has smashed things up will be the pilot books devoted to trying to make sense of it. A week after the inauguration, 1984 and the origins of totalitarianism were number 1 and number 36 respectively on the US Amazon bestseller list. But the true life Donald J. Trump story has more to do with what Scott Fitzgerald called foul dust than with ideas or ideology. Reckoning with Trump means descending into the place that made him. What he represents above all is the triumph, listen to this, of an underworld of predators, hustlers, mobsters, clubhouse politicians, and tabloid sleaze that festered in a corner of New York City. A vindication of his mentor, the mafia lawyer Roy Cohn, a figure unknown to the vast majority of enthusiasts who jammed Trump's rallies and hailed him as the authentic voice of the people. The notion of a Trump literature begins appropriately with an imaginary novel, 1999, Casinos of the Third Reich, contrived by Kurt Anderson, an editor at Spy, a New York magazine of the 80s and 90s. Over several months in late 1989 and early 1990, Anderson kept referring to the non-existent casinos of the Third Reich and its implausible protagonist, Donald Trump, whose narcissistic exhibitionism offered a never-ending source of unintentional self-satire. Who's my toughest competitor? If not in context only inspired, he asked. Prince Charles, he answered. I'm thinking of becoming an entertainer, he also said. Lisa Minnelli gets $75,000 a night to sing, and I'm really curious as to how I would do. Yes, Anderson wrote in the blockbuster 1999 Casinos of the Third Reich, its nobleman lounge singer, Donald Trump. Fred Trump, Donald's father, was a king of Queens. The Donald became a joker in Manhattan, talking about coming from the wrong side of the tracks in New York. It's quite interesting in this article how much the acclamation of New York, according to Sidney Blumenthal, is quite important to Donald. Be a killer, Fred Trump, who ruled all of us with a steel will, told him. Then he said, you are a king. And then talking about his skyscrapers, about the banks, how he lost the Plaza Hotel, which was his crown jewel, his casino empire across the Hudson River in Atlantic City. He had to sell virtually everything, including his yacht, the Trump Princess, which he had purchased from Adnan Khashoggi. Trump threatened to sue a journalist at the Wall Street Journal for accurately reporting his collapse, one of his many attempts to intimidate the press, and another technique he learned from Roy Cohn. If Trump was a captain of industry, a phrase Veblen popularized, and the industry was leisure, hotels, casinos, reality TV shows, a beauty pageant, and a wrestling federation. More than a century after Veblen, the ultimate representative of the leisure class, indulged in an aesthetic of conspicuous waste in order to offer himself as an object of envy and magical thinking. Trump told Playboy, "Let me tell you, a display is a good thing. It shows people that you can be successful. It can show you a way of life." Dynasty, he added, did it on TV. It was conclusive proof. His style has been unfadingly kitsch. His penthouse apartment at Trump Tower is a museum-like in its curating of exquisitely tacky taste, in a faux luxe style, marble floors, walls and columns, Louis XIV chairs, with cushions stitched with the Trump coat of arms, gilded lamps, vases and crown mouldings. If this were on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, he boasted it would be very much in place in terms of quality. Then talking about the Gatsby and saying what preyed on Gatsby, the narrator asked himself in Fitzgerald's novel, what foul dust floated in the wake of his dreams. And saying Trump is the uncouth son of privilege for whom, as for Tom and Daisy, there are no consequences of smashing things up. Trump is Tom Buchanan, farcically playing Gatsby. Gatsby might have appreciated the audacity, but would have avoided the shabbiness. Both Gatsby and Trump, however, are characters enthralled by the possibility of recapturing the past and reshaping it as they imagine it should have been. What Gatsby and Trump also have in common are gangsters. Gatsby's fortune is secretly derived from his bootlegging partnership with Meyer Wolfsheim. Saying there's no art to these deals, Trump's relationships with the mob weren't just about the quality of cement. In his defense, it was said that doing business with the mob was inescapable in New York. Talking about a party he had at Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach for almost 1,000 revelers, from whom he cleared a neat profit. For members of his Mar-a-Lago golf resort, for which he levies a $100,000 entry fee, the price was $525 a ticket. This is just incredible. The member of the Trump family who most resembles Michael Corleone is Ivanka. Her father's favorite, the ambitious and fashionable Manhattanite, presents herself as an advocate of childcare and climate change policies, selling herself as the one hope for decency among the Trumps. Roy Cohn, the mafia lawyer, was more than just the consigliere in Trump's story. He was Donald's mentor, his godfather. If Trump received an education beyond his 2 years at Fordham and as a transfer student at Wharton, it was from his guide through the circles of the inferno, conducted master classes in malice. Trump was an apt pupil in aggression. "I don't think I got that from Roy at all," Trump told Washington Post. "I think I have a natural instinct for that. He didn't really need an education in heartlessness, but he learned the finer points from Cohn." Offering his highest praise, Trump called him a total genius. He brutalized for him. Donald Trump met Roy Cohn at Le Club, a private New York disco in 1973, when Trump was 27 and had a serious problem. The Justice Department was suing him and his father for racial discrimination. "My views tell them to go to hell," Cohn advised, "and fight the thing in court." From that moment, Cohn and Trump were inseparable. It's a brutal expose. You've got to read it in full. It's really mind-boggling, and I was thinking, well, for the last few days, like even if a video comes out with him naked and 20 women swinging from the candelabra, it's going to make no difference. And that is another extraordinary point that he's managed to shift the dial. Trump turns up the volume to 11 was my piece on the 30th of January, and then earlier I wrote, "Here Comes President Trump." Unfortunately, the immigration ban is one of Trump's most popular orders so far. So you can see he knows he's playing to the numbers. He was an insurgent candidate, and his Make America Great Again movement, similarly an insurgent movement. I was wondering when he was going to respond to Nordstrom. He did yesterday. "My daughter Ivanka has been treated so unfairly by Nordstrom. She is a great person, always pushing me to do the right thing. Terrible." put up a photograph of her, which caught a lot of people's attention. Trump calls world leaders, but Z gets a letter. US State Department is reportedly struggling to keep Donald Trump on message during calls with foreign leaders. It came as the US President was alleged to have veered off topic during a diplomatic exchange with President Francois Hollande. Interesting piece in The Guardian by somebody called Robbie Mook. I ran Clinton's campaign and I fear Russia is meddling with more than elections. And I think that's very clear. The Russian hacking of the DNC and members of Hillary Clinton's campaign is being treated too much like a novelty and not enough as a serious and persistent security threat. The problem becomes more urgent as we see it spread to other countries. That's when I wrote my piece, We Have a Deviate Tomahawk. Specialist is monitoring data on his mission console when a voice breaks in, a voice that carried with it a strange and unspecifiable poignancy. We have a deviant tomahawk. We copy, there's a voice. We have gross oscillation here. There's some interference. Of course, my prognosis is that was Vladimir Putin, who ran a seriously 21st century predominantly digital program of interference, which amplified the Trump candidacy. And Trump was an ideal candidate for this kind of support. He's a linguistic warfare specialist. The angel Esmeralda, and that's the quote about We Have a Deviant Tomahawk and a few others from today. It's a fabulous book, Don DeLillo. President Trump silent on Africa. Trump's views on Africa remain largely a mystery. This is Eleni Giokos in CNN. Look at this. What wonderful weather we're having today in San Francisco. And read that tweet. It's about Twitter's algorithms. And actually, I tweeted Jack about it. It's interesting that someone's picked up on that as well. Mistaken identity, Snap Interactive jumped 164% after the other Snap Inc. filed for its IPO. Euro dollar 106.75, dollar index 100.29, Japanese yen 112.27, Swiss franc 0.9957, the pound 125.11, Aussie 0.7627, Indian rupee 66.99. That's bumped below 67. South Korean won 1144.28, the Rial 311.76, Egyptian pound 17.9995, and the Rand 1342.53. Dollar policy confusion keeping currency traders up at night. Have a look at this Bloomberg dollar index of theirs, and just saying that what we found is various members of the administration talking it down of late, starting off with Navarro. Commodity markets, gold, 1240 area. My trade I saw was completely offside in the first weeks of January, the long Bitcoin, short gold, but it's back to unchanged practically now. Crude oil, about which I'm not very bullish, but it's at $53 and change right now. The price of copper, on which a lot swings, particularly in Zambia. Sub-Saharan Africa, Deloitte, UK won't say when or why they dropped the Angolan sovereign fund, which has now been replaced by an unnamed Angolan auditor. It doesn't bode well. If you're transactional, you're going to say, what's in it for us, said Mr. Crocker, referring to the American First policy. South African all shares up 2.27% this year, dollar versus rand. A lot depends on whether President Zuma is seriously trying to oust Privinvest, and let's hope he's not, because otherwise we're in for a period of massive turbulence. Egyptian pound below 18 for the first time this year. Inside Nigeria's Eurobond Roadshow, nice pitch, but what about the Naira? The foreign exchange policy is the elephant in the room, said Oliver Weeks, who attended the February 3 meeting at London's Corinthia Hotel. They didn't address it. The fact they're doing the Eurobond before addressing it is a sign that the foreign exchange policy won't improve quickly. Any change would have to be agreed at a very high level. Nothing can really happen until Buhari gets back. And this is it. The fundamental paradox at the heart of President Buhari's government is the Naira. And investors are sidelined and waiting for that moment of epiphany. Nigerian all shares down 5.26% this year. Ghana Stock Exchange up 6.48% so far this year. Africa from the inside, spotlight on risk in Africa forecasting. This is Deloitte, rising debt crisis, captured capital. Question for investors in Africa will increasingly be how to mitigate currency risk. Currency risks, possibility of bank failures, lower for longer commodity prices. China's rebalancing is seen as a risk. I agree with all of them. Then a very interesting snippet in Africa Confidential. Angola is planning a major expansion of its navy with the help of Privinvest group. This was the same group who dumped all that debt on Mozambique. Bit of a concern. Carlyle Group and TPG among the foreign institutional investors interested in acquiring the Kenyan coffee chain Java, according to Kenya Wall Street, in a deal worth $100 million. Tullow Oil is talking of spending $225 million this year in Kenya. Look at this photograph, an Mpesa agent checking John K's passport details before registering his number on Mpesa. I like this photograph of Kenyatta Avenue, Nairobi, taken by Mutachira. Kenya shilling steady as you like at 103.70. Nairobi all share down 6.23% so far this year, but been on a bit of a rebound. Lost a bit of steam last 2-3 sessions. NSE 20, however, has kept on rebounding 7 up days in a row. It's down 8.7% year to date. Obviously, that news about Kansai Paint acquiring Sadolin was a net positive. Crown Paints had a good move. It rallied 7.14% and is up by the same amount year to date. And that was on speculation that, you could see some spillover activity. News around Kenya's interbank transaction switch probably bore down and Safaricom share price yesterday. Let's see how it behaves today. Deacons down a mighty 30.57% this year. Banks on the rebound, but they were the weakest component. Barclays was a big winner, up 4.97%. Equity up 3.84%. KCB up 2.97%. Co-op up 3.79%. These were very badly oversold shares, but we've got to keep an eye on them because we're going to have a full year of the interest rate cap to factor in. Once again, thank you for stopping by. If you're in Nairobi on Saturday, do come to the Norfolk for the Mind Speak session. Thank you kindly.